I'm watching them and I'm thinking, I can't do that. I can't do it. I can't do it. And at this point I start thinking like, how do I back out of this? Because I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I was actually pretty freaked out before I even started learning how to snorkel when we first started traveling. But I was surprised at how much I learned to love it. I don't like it when people like hug me and like smush my nose and I can't breathe. I don't like it when I'm sick and my nose is plugged up. I just hate all of that. Breathing stuff kind of freaks me out. But diving for me was always like totally no, off the table. I never ever wanted to dive. But then a couple of years ago, we were in Costa Rica with friends and we were given the opportunity to take an open water diving certification course. And Ryan and Abby were both like really into it and they asked me and it was like, just like, this is a hard no. Like I can do snorkeling, I like the water, I like paddleboarding, I am not taking a diving course. The idea of breathing under the water just completely terrified me. So I said no and they were like, okay, well, we're gonna do it. For the last couple of years, every time they have an opportunity to go diving again, they're like, hey, you should dive with us. And every time I'm like, no, I am not diving. I do not dive. I do not want to dive ever. Then fast forward to we're in Cartagena. And for whatever reason, I don't know, Ryan gets diving in his head because we're on the coast there and I guess maybe he saw a diving company or something. And so he asks me casually like, hey, do you want me to book you a dive? And I don't know what had changed. Our family's really been focusing on this idea of like doing hard things. But also maybe I had been softening to the idea for a little while because I do love snorkeling in the ocean so much that I thought maybe one day I'll do it. But so he gets this idea in his head and I'm like, well, he's not gonna book anything. I'm not actually gonna do it now. Like one day I'll dive. And then I hear him on the phone in the next room and he's literally like booking me diving for that weekend. And I was totally shocked that he actually did it. I didn't even want to think about it. And so he just gets off the phone like all pleased with himself. Oh, I booked you to go diving with Kaden and Johanna on Saturday. And I just went in denial mode for like the next 5 days because I was in the middle of a big work thing. So I just totally, like I pretended like it didn't exist, like I wasn't going diving. And so I just went about my week and didn't think about it like at all. Because I knew if I thought about it, I would back out probably. I would be too scared. So Saturday comes and we have to get up really early. So we get up, we pack up, and I'm still trying like literally not even to think about what I'm getting ready for. So I'm like packing up the bag, putting on my bathing suit, like doing everything, but I'm still trying not to think about it. So I'm just sort of like one foot in front of the other, like get out of the apartment, go get a taxi, take some money out of the bank, get to the dock, sign the papers, smile for the kids. I'm like doing all the motions. Okay, so what are we doing?
We are going scuba diving.
I love the water and I love snorkeling and I love paddleboarding, but diving has always freaked me out a teensy bit. So
why?
This is a big deal for me. Why? Because I guess just because going down under the ground and breathing through a tank and stuff just seems kind of different, and I'm just worried that I won't like how it feels. We get there, we get to the dock, and we're getting all ready. We're watching them load everything up. Okay, Johanna, I'm signing our lives away.
Hey.
Okay. Here's our boat, our trusty boat, all our oxygen. I'm literally still just trying not to think about it. We get on the boat and I get motion sick on boats. And it was only like a 30-minute boat ride, but I'm just focusing on like take some pretty footage of the water and look around and, you know, just don't get sick on the boat. So we get out there, it's like this island that we're diving off of the coast of.
Okay, we're slowing down. This is our island where we're gonna dive.
We put on our wetsuits and kind of started getting our gear on. Okay, we're here.
He's laughing at you.
In wetsuits, about to get our lesson. Check out the kids. All right, I think this will be fun. If you've ever worn a wetsuit before, it's like the worst feeling ever, but it's just like so constricting. It feels hard to breathe. Like at this point, like I just feel like my chest is closing up, and I feel like I'm trying to prevent myself from going into panic mode. The boat is rocking. I'm just trying to stay focused on like not getting sick, and the kids are talking to me and I'm trying to answer their questions, and honestly I just wanted to do anything but dive at that point. Our guide was actually really great. Danielle was like really gentle and he was really patient, and his English was really good, and he explained how to use our BCDs and how to use the regulator and how to breathe with it and how to, like, you know, clear our ears and how to use the diving signals. So he's telling us all the things that we need to know.
The less you bend your knees, the more you can stay. That's it.
At this point, I'm just like hyper focusing, like sitting on this rocking boat with a bunch of my gear on, trying to follow like everything he says, because I'm thinking if I don't obey everything he says, like I'm gonna die or I'm gonna do something stupid. I always thought it looked really awkward when I watched other people dive, but I had no idea how heavy and awkward it really is when you're like all suited up in your wetsuit and you have all this stuff on, and then you're trying to walk like you can't even stand up straight with the weight of it. You're supposed to like have your mask on and then hold your regulator in your mouth and take a deep breath and just jump. So I did that and it was okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought. So now I'm like bobbing there in the water waiting for the last kid to jump in, and I'm trying to like distract myself by catching like little bits of video of the kids jumping in. So we have to put this regulator in our mouth and start like putting our face down in the water and start breathing through this thing before we actually go down under the water. And this is the part where I like internally panicked and started to lose it, because breathing is usually this like regular thing that you do. Like you don't even think about it, it's automatic. And now suddenly every breath I had to think about in and out, in and out. And it just felt so labored and it made everything feel scarier. Danielle takes Johanna and he's like, okay, Johanna's gonna go down first with me. So they deflate their BCD, take all the air out of it, and they start to sink and start to go below. And I'm watching them and I'm thinking, I can't do that. I can't do it. I can't do it. And at this point I start thinking like, how do I back out of this, because I can't do it. Like I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna have a panic attack. Like I actually don't think I can breathe underneath the water. So then he comes back up for me, and I totally don't feel ready. And he looks at me and he's like, okay, let's go. So I just take a deep breath and put my regulator in my mouth, and I start deflating and we start going down below the water. And my heart is just like pounding wildly. And the only thing I can do is just focus on each step. So I'm like, okay, keep breathing, clear your ears, keep breathing, look at Danielle and see what he's telling me to do, keep breathing, and whatever else I was supposed to do. I was just totally focused on like, do the next thing, do the next thing. And finally we go down the rope a little ways, and I'm down where Johanna is, and I was so proud of her because she was just like down there under the water, and I know how nervous I felt, and I didn't know if she felt nervous. So I started trying to like, giving her like the good job, like you're doing okay, kind of signal, because I wanted her to know that like she was doing a good job, and I think that relaxed me a little bit to be down there with her and to look at her and kind of like have this moment of connection, and I was really proud of her. All I remember is that next Danielle just kind of told me like, wait here, just stay here, I'm going up with the kids. And I was like, don't leave me down here. I don't want to stay down here by myself. But he already had 2 kids to deal with, and I didn't want him to have a 3rd kid to deal with. So I was like, okay, I'm the grown-up. I can stay down here. I can just use this opportunity to practice my breathing and to practice relaxing. At that point, I kind of started looking around a little bit, like more intentionally, like, well, I'm down here, so I should see what's here. So I start focusing on my surroundings. I don't even know what happened, but suddenly, like, a couple of minutes had gone by and I hadn't even paid attention to my breathing at all. I was just so focused on looking because I was so up close to everything and it was so interesting. And I was really surprised when I realized that, because I thought that would never happen, that I would never get relaxed. And suddenly there I was, like, relaxing and just forgetting what I was doing and just looking around. And I think Danielle was really smart at this point. Maybe he was doing this, like, you know, the frog boiling in a pot thing, like you slowly turn up the temperature on the frog and it doesn't even notice that it's being boiled. I kind of think that's what happened. He started taking us, I think, a little further away and a little deeper, and it was so gradual that none of us really realized. And all of a sudden, 20 minutes has gone by and we've just been, like, diving. It just becomes really amazing because we're there, like, me and Kaden and Johanna, we're doing this together and we're all actually, like, making it work, and we start pointing things out to each other. We're like, look, there's this coral, and look at this group of fish over here, and wow, this thing is really interesting. And we all sort of just get lost in it. And gradually our guide is just taking us a little further from the boat, a little deeper down into the water, and we're having an amazing time. And before we know it, we've been diving for like 20 plus minutes, 25 minutes, and he tells us, okay, it's time to go up. So we go up, we all inflate our BCDs and we get to the surface, and he's like, hey, do you want to go see a shipwreck? We're like, yes, we want to see a shipwreck. So we make our way over there, and this is probably the best part. We all just love this part of the dive. We go down and we're way more comfortable at this point, and we only have to go down a few meters and we can start to see the ship already. It's like right there. And first we can see kind of like the lookout tower, and there's a lot of fish swimming around it, and then we go deeper and we're looking through like the windows of maybe like the captain's deck or whatever, and we can see, like, we could have even gone into the boat if we wanted to, but we're just watching these fish swim out, in and out of the windows, and it's just so cool. And we all kind of go deeper and further, even I think than we meant to, because we were just so captivated by it. Like, it was one of the coolest things I've done. And after way too short of a time, Danielle comes back over to us and he says, okay, everybody go back up. And our time was already over. We'd only been down at the shipwreck for 5 or 10 minutes, but it was time to get back on the boat. So we all get back up onto the boat, and we finally get to take off all of our gear, take off our wetsuits, take off everything, which feels so good after you've been stuck in it for a really long time. And I think it just hit me at that point when we got back on the boat, like, wow, we did it.
We just finished our first real dive, hey? It was awesome, and we're really happy that we did. Okay, now we have a boat ride back to the city.
In our family, we have this motto: we were made to do hard things, and diving was definitely one of those hard things for me. I've already decided I'm going to do my certification course this September, even though it still scares me. I'm really glad that Ryan pushed me to do it, and most of all, I'm proud of myself for trying and giving it my all and being able to experience something so magical together with my kids. Can't believe he just did that. Like, he actually just went ahead and booked it. I didn't even really mean it when I said it.